And one more thing. So I get asked a lot, who's the special guest for the virtual summit? And I thought a lot about, what do we want this summit to be all about? When you build a system, and there's very few people alive who have built a system that has become truly global scale, meaning billions of users and impacted all of our lives. When you build a system, you go into deep reflection about, well, what would you have done differently given the decades if you could do it all over again? And there's only a handful of people that we could have invited who could have given us this perspective. So we were so incredibly fortunate that when Philip Wadler was an undergraduate at Stanford, he actually was a pioneer, not just in programming languages, but also at the birth of the internet. He worked for Vint Cerf, he and Bob Kahn, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn created TCP/IP, which is the heart of the internet. And Phil created the very first computer game that was online. He used it to actually test the network connections that they had. So we thought it would be so cool to invite Vint Cerf to the conference and have Vint talk about if he could rebuild the internet today, what would he do differently? The point here is that we're just about to turn on a system that if we get it right, something like this will end up controlling your identity, your money, and how the world commercial system works in the next 40 or 50 years. So everything that we do, we have to understand lives within the arc of history. And everything we do, we have to understand these decisions will eventually become significantly meaningful to people. So I felt it was important to connect us to that legacy. And hopefully this time around, we can do things a little better and have a little bit more wisdom. I'm a great admirer of Vint, and I think he's just a phenomenal speaker and a great person. But hopefully the people who work on Cardano will have the same opportunity to be on a panel decades from now and be able to say, well, what would you have done differently if you could build Cardano today? And they can have something as meaningful that's going to come out on the virtual summit.